A few years ago, the National Museum of the American Indian, part of the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., had a great exhibit of Native Americans as cultural icons used in advertisements and promoting products, and how the Native Americans were com part of the commercial culture in the United States. Well, the Seminoles are too, and Osceola especially. And I think the Seminole tribe actually did have an exhibit on Osceola in the past. It had a little bit, but there's so much more that we can add to that exhibit. Uh, Osceola as a celebrity and movie star. Let's look at that. I was playing with around with AI and found out some found some hilarious images that I made. Let's look at that. First off, this was a movie in 1971 about Osceola that it's not in English. There might be one with subtitles on YouTube, but uh, I'll mention that in a minute. But I was playing around with AI and said, show me Osceola as a movie star. And this one came up with, looks like Humphrey Bogart. The face looks similar to George Caplin's Osceola picture there. I don't know. Does it look familiar? I don't know. Looks like he'd do a good job running Rick's Cafe in Casablanca there. So then I did an AI image. I said, show me Osceola signing autographs. And of course, AI doesn't know Seminole clothing, and this is what they came up with. Uh, wouldn't Osceola be using a knife instead? It says Osceola on the paper that he's writing. And then I said, show me Osceola escaping from the paparazzi. And here it is, kind of looks like Graham Greene. Escaping from the paparazzi. It looks like, kind of reminds me of Fakachi Jane's Scenic Drive with the palm trees and back there, but they're actually worse than movies of Osceola. Here's the first one. It was Seminole starring Rock Hudson and Anthony Quinn starring as Osceola. Here he is. Kind of pretty neat outfit. Um, I was thinking that's like Sorba the Greek playing Osceola. Then I found out Anthony Quinn is not Greek. He's actually Mexican American. Saw him on many different movies and TV shows. Next, we have a movie which is one of my favorites because they get about half right and the other half gets a little ridiculous. It's called Naked in the Sun. It has no nudity in it whatsoever. It's a totally misleading movie poster as James Craig portraying Osceola, and this is him here, Osceola and Kawakachi. Actually, the clothing's pretty good. Um, I want Charlie Mathew's orange frock coat in the movie. There, they get kind of ridiculous because the army officer they call General Finch, or I think that's what it is instead. General Jessup seems over the top, almost like a Monty Python character. And then you have another movie which I found the last few years on YouTube, Osceola and the Right Hand of Vengeance. Of course, this is the title's in German on this. It was a behind the Iron Curtain movie filmed in 1971. It was filmed in Cuba. I'm not sure where these mountains came from. They might be Czechoslovakia or something like that. But it was Osceola as I guess, as the workers' hero fighting against the capitalist plantation owners who are wearing tight pants. They're fighting against him in the movie, kind of tragic hero in the story. I've seen two different versions. One's in German, which I can partly follow, and the other one is in Russian there. So it's what I only discovered recently. Um, and this is a clip from the movie Osceola firing a Colt 45, which of course was a pistol invented about a decade after Osceola had died. So there, or at least, um, Civil War kind of famous for that. And here's another picture of Osceola uh, in the right hand of vengeance with his Seminole warriors. They're pretty exciting. So anyway, looking on that, if I was in Savannah at Bonaventura Cemetery about a year and a half ago, I was looking up General Duncan Lamont Clinch, who's buried there, and right across from his grave, I found another Osceola who's neither Creek nor Seminole. Let me show you right here. This Find a Grave website. I go to Osceola Butler. There's like five people named Osceola Butler in here, and probably none of them are Creek and Seminole. Osceola became a celebrity name. Um, Two of them might be related because they're both buried in Savannah. Um, One of them's in Macomb County, Michigan, which is named after General Macomb. But let's look at Osceola Butler. He was born February 13th, 1838, 2 weeks after Osceola died. Died at age 54 in 1892. Doing some genealogy research on him, he was a pharmacist, owned like a drugstore, kind of your early Walgreens or whatever. But he had four members of his family, or four generations, are named Osceola Butler. I think the last one they just shortened it down to Ozzy there. So kind of interesting. Somebody who was born in Virginia had nothing to do with Creeks or Seminoles. Osceola became a popular name in the 19th century. Let's look at another one. And I was doing some Dade family genealogy, and I found an Osceola Dade. Look, Osceola Dade, he's was born in Missouri and died in Missouri. Born in 1868, lived to be age 96. I actually talked to one of his descendants who was a retired Air Force colonel, and he said, well, my daughter's going to school near there. I'm going to see if she could get a picture of the grave there. So that's pretty interesting. But looking at the other Osceolas, I came across this just last week. During Dade's battle, Osceola was not there because he was killing the Indian agent Wiley Thompson. And so I looked up Osceola Thompson, and there's five of them as well. Osceola Claiborne Day Thompson in Virginia, Osceola Delphus Thompson, who was an Army officer, first lieutenant, born in Maine in 1838, same year that Osceola died. Died in 1873 at Newport Barracks in Kentucky. I've actually been to the site of Newport Barracks. Said he died of smallpox. That's interesting. Uh, he was at a Newport Barracks in Kentucky, which was kind of the recruiting depot during the Second Seminole War. There's another Osceola Thompson. Here's one who's buried in Sumter County near Dade Battlefield. Osceola Thompson, born in 1881, uh, died in 1935, age 54. He was a private in the 156th Depot Brigade. Looking up the history, that was a Depot Brigade was at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Um, so Osceola was at Fort Jackson, named after you know who. And they're a unit that was there during World War One, apparently. I thought he may be a black soldier, but I looked it up and he was listed as white. But another interesting Osceola, let me go back to Osceola Butler for 1 minute. So there's one Osceola Butler that I thought was interesting here. It's a black boy. It says he was born in Virginia in March 1842 and lived with his daughter and her son. He's buried in New Jersey, was born in Virginia, buried in New Jersey, and he was a ship's boy, apparently. It says on his grave, first class boy, U.S. Navy, died 1917. And that's a picture of him right there. Says our boy. And that's interesting. So in the 1850s, I would probably be what it was that he was serving as a ship's boy. That's very interesting. So quite interesting. Osceola, uh, modern day movie celebrity in the 20th century, in the 19th century. People were just wanting to name their kids after Osceola. So Osceola became a cultural icon. Uh, Hope you enjoyed my side trip down this uh, other less serious type of subject, and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for visiting.